right, let's dive into a confrontation that isn't about swords or spells, but about the very fabric of reality itself. We're talking about a story where the law is put on trial. Welcome to the Tribunal of the Void. And we kick things off with this incredible, cryptic line from our main character, the jester. I am the currency they cannot spend. What in the world does that mean? Well, hang with me, because by the end of this, that line is going to make some truly terrifying sense. So who is this jester? Well, his name is Der Grün Gold Narr, the Green Gold Fool. Think of him as a prophet of becoming. He isn't a hero in any traditional sense. Nope. He's more like a force of nature that awakens when the age of heroes dies, ready to tear down a world that's rotting from the inside out. Okay, to really get what makes him tick, you have to understand this one core concept, the absolute ish. Now, this isn't just about ego, it's the radical idea that the self exists purely because it wills itself to exist. The jester isn't defined by the world, by its laws, or anything in it. He is because he decides he is. And that right there is what makes him so dangerous. You see, the jester is this walking contradiction, a living, breathing split mirror. On one hand, you have the gold side. That's all about the will to power, the doomed quest for fame and glory, the curse of ambition. But on the other hand, you have the verdant side. That's just indifferent nature, the cosmic joke that everything, no matter how grand, eventually returns to dust. He's trapped in the golden cage of striving, but he's also totally free because he accepts that it's all pointless. All right, so you've got this incredible force of nature, and for every thesis, there has to be an antithesis. So let's meet the antagonist, the world of law made flesh. And here he is, the High Judge. He represents the not I, everything outside of you that tries to define you, to put you in a box. He's not just a guy in a robe. He's the living embodiment of rules, of consequences, of the rigid, predictable order that the jester's very existence is a threat to. And this is where it all comes to a head. It's a fundamental collision of wills. The judge's entire world is built on must. You must obey. He deals in moral debts and fixed laws. But the jester? He lives in the world of becoming. He's all about cosmic absurdity and a chaotic, ever-changing existence. The judge wants to weigh him, categorize him, put a label on him. But tell me, how exactly do you weigh a hurricane? So how does the jester respond to this immovable object of the law? Does he fight back? Not on the judge's terms, he doesn't. Instead, he introduces his own antithesis, the world of laughter. And this is where the judge makes his fatal mistake. He demands a name. He demands obedience. He wants something he can write down in his big book of laws. But this very demand just shows how limited his thinking is. Seriously, how do you put a label on a force of nature? You can't, and the jester knows it. And this is the jester's absolutely devastating response. He looks the judge in the eye and says, "Your laws are merely beautiful cages, constructed to hide the terror of absolute freedom." I mean, think about that. He's not just breaking the law, he's performing a psychoanalysis on it. He's saying your entire system of order is just a pretty cage you built because you're terrified of what it means to be truly free. And his laughter, it's not joy, it's a weapon. They call it active laughter. It's like a void mirror. When the judge tries to project his authority, the jester's laughter just reflects it right back at him, showing it for what it really is, a performance, a fragile, hollow show that only has power if you agree to believe in it. So, all this philosophical back and forth, it's about to get very, very real. Or maybe very unreal. This is the climax, the complete deconstruction of power itself. Let's just watch this unfold. First, the judge, totally confident in his power, raises his gavel to pass his sentence. But then the jester invokes the runes of destruction, and the effect is instantaneous. The gavel, the very symbol of the law, rots into sawdust in his hand. His velvet robes, the sign of his office, wither away like dead leaves. The whole performance is over. And that brings us full circle, right back to that opening riddle. He is the currency they cannot spend. Why? Because the judge's power, his currency of obedience and fear, it only works if the herd, if everyone else believes in the masks and symbols of his office. The jester just proved that without them, the judge is just a man, subject to the same decay, the same verdant absurdity as everything else. The court's currency is completely worthless against someone who simply refuses to acknowledge the debt. So what happens after you've literally dissolved the law? What comes next? You get the synthesis. You get the new saga of frenzy. And this is the ultimate lesson here. What's the final value of all the societal titles, the laws, the crowns, when they come face to face with a self that creates its own reality? The absolute itch. The value is zero. A total and complete nullification. The high judge is left speechless, completely stripped of his power. And this part is so important. The jester doesn't run away like a criminal. He leaves as a victor. He didn't just win the argument. He dissolved the entire courtroom, proved the whole game was an illusion he could simply turn off. And with that absolute victory, he announces the dawn of a new age with one final declaration. The saga of the hero is finished. The saga of frenzy begins. The old world, with its rigid rules and its doomed heroes, is over, and a new world of chaotic, playful, and honestly terrifying freedom has just been born. Which leaves us with this final, really unsettling thought. This isn't just some fantasy story, is it? It's a question aimed squarely at us. What happens to a world when the very idea of authority is revealed to be nothing more than a joke that we're all telling ourselves?